The Mountain to Sea Cycle Trail is a 210-kilometre epic cycle from the Ruapehu region on the North Island of New Zealand, down to the coast of Whanganui. Our journey began in Auckland using the Northern Explorer train to get to Whanganui. The 5-day ride took us through the Whanganui National Park and following the Whanganui River to the coast. This downhill ride reached speeds of up to 60 kilometers per hour. Let's introduce our 8 riders on this epic 5-day journey. We have Damien, David, Graham, Murray, Owen, Scott, Stuart, and Tim. Stopping in Whanganui for a well-deserved lunch, we begin our next leg of the journey, a 15-kilometer ride along the scenic Whanganui Old Coach Road. The Taunui Viaduct was built in 1908. Operating for almost 70 years, it last saw trains passing over it in 1987 when a new viaduct was constructed. This historic trail was originally constructed for horse-drawn carriages and in some places still contains the original cobblestones along the track. The Hapuahinua Viaduct. Also built in 1908, this viaduct is the second abandoned viaduct on this historic trail. At 284 meters long and 45 meters high, its curved appearance is striking. Unlike the Taunui Viaduct, this one is open to the public. With the first day's ride now over, it's time to return to our accommodation at Whanganui. Day 2 begins with a 42-kilometer ride from Ruapehu through to our next overnight stop at Ruatiti, near the start of the Mangapirua track. This ride is a mixture of quiet rural gravel and sealed roads. This part of the ride takes us around forests, remote rural farmlands, and into the edge of the Whanganui National Park. On this ride you really do experience the authentic rolling New Zealand countryside. Some of the highlights of this day's ride was that we got to cycle alongside the picturesque Whanganui o Teo River through the Ruatiti Valley and stop on the river at the Ruatiti Domain for lunch.
Good book, little wine.
We arrived at the Ruatiti Lodge for a well-earned beer. Our tour organizer, Mountain Bike Station, met us at the lodge with our overnight bags, ready for another day of riding. Day 3 was a 36-kilometre ride through one of New Zealand's most iconic rides. The Mangapirua track takes us into the rural Whanganui National Park. We head out from the Ruatiti Lodge and begin the ride up into the mountains. We climb up 600 meters into the misty fog of the Whanganui National Park. It's not long before the sun comes out and we are rewarded with some spectacular vistas unfolding to the west. The distinct cone of Mount Taranaki guides us westwards through the Whanganui National Park. At the junction of the Mangapirua and Kaiwakuaka tracks is the carved Tōtara power. This power signifies the spirit of the Nohea forest and is symbolic, paying tribute to the early settlers and World War I veterans of the Mangapirua and Kaiwakuaka valleys. The track crosses many small streams, just wide enough to fit a bike through standing on its back wheel.
Nice bit, Phil. Well done. First Bicycle Battalion.
Further along, we are confronted by some dramatic bluffs. The most spectacular of these bluffs is the one called Battleship Bluff. It stands out as striking and creates a picturesque and eye-catching part of the Whanganui National Park. Emerging from the bush is the Bridge to Nowhere. A testament to earlier times, in an attempt to tame this wild country, the bridge was completed in 1936, but by 1942 the last remaining settlers had left the valley. The concrete bridge, now known as the Bridge to Nowhere, it is the symbol of that ill-fated settlement in an area known as the Valley of Abandoned Dreams. Our last leg of today's journey is taking a spectacular ride in a jet boat. Specially designed to take bikes on the back, our jet boat ride takes us to our next destination for tonight, the Bridge to Nowhere Lodge.
That's electricity where we are. Why is it your worry?
Riding the Whanganui River by jet boat is a highlight of the mountains to sea ride. Jet boats are the only way in and out of these parts of the Whanganui National Park. Arriving at our third night's accommodation, with views across the Whanganui River, we rest up for the next big day ahead of us. For the quintessential Whanganui River experience, we canoed a 7-kilometre leg along the river. Our bikes were taken ahead of us and we would meet back up with them in Papiriki for the next leg.
Not sideways, guys.
Oh.
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, keep paddling hard.
At Papiriki, we were reunited with our bikes courtesy of our tour organizer, Mountain Bike Station. And then it was on to our last leg of the ride for today. The 34-kilometer ride to our next and final overnight stop, the Flying Fox Lodge. After a meandering ride through the countryside, we finally get to our overnight accommodation. You have to ring the gong to let the hosts know that you've arrived and to send the Flying Fox across to pick you up. It's the only way in. And it's the only way out.
Yeah, it comes back with it.
No,
Off you go.
come back in the car.
I hate planes sometimes. Looks like a monastery.
Today, we ride the 35-kilometer route from the Flying Fox Lodge down to Upokongoro, where we pick up the paddle steamer, Waimarie. We steam down the Whanganui River to the township itself to disembark, and then ride the last 4 kilometers to the Tasman Sea. That will be the finishing point of our 5-day epic ride.